Hello, this is Jamie Magritte. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you a version of this card. So let's get started. I'm going to be using some of the rhinestones. Hand Penned Petals. I'm using this stamp here. And in this original card, I brought in Heal Your Heart for the sentiment, but I think I'm going to use a different sentiment for this one. And then the matching dies that goes with the Hand Penned Petals is Penned Flowers dies. I also need one of those. I'm going to be using Polished Pink, Parakeet Party, and Basic Gray ink. And then for cardstock, I have a scrap of white, and this is 3 inches by 4 1/4, so it was big enough to stamp that on. Piece of polished pink, which is 1 inch strip. This is 5 1/2 inches, but it needs to be at least 4 1/4 inches. 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white. Four and 1/8 by 5 3/8 inch piece of basic gray, and then my card base, which is thick, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Okay, so we can move these two out of the way, and let's get our blocks and put our stamps on it. I'm using this one. See if this block is big enough. Nope. I didn't clean this very well from the last time I used it. And then I'm going to be using this one here. And I think it's this one. And the leaf, the largest of the leaves. Okay. And then a sentiment. Let's use thanks. It's always a good one. All right. So that's our stamps. So let's get going here. I need to bring in a foam mat. Okay, I'm going to stamp this first on here. And I'm stamping it with basic gray ink. Okay, let's put that aside for a minute. Let's bring in this piece that's 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And I need a scrap paper. This one will work. And I need that because I'm going to be stamping off the edge. So I'm going to ink up my stamp again. And on the bottom, I'm going to stamp it once. This bottom leaf is going to hang off. Okay, then I'm going to ink it up again. I'm going to stamp it over here next to it. I'm going to turn it a little bit so that I'm not overlapping, but if you do a little bit, that's not going to be a problem. Then I'm going to stamp it over here once more. Let's see, did I turn that one too? I just turned it a little bit, I think. Okay. And then let's bring this strip in since we get the gray out. And I'm going to stamp right in pretty much the center of this polished pink piece with the basic gray. Whatever sentiment you want to choose. Okay, so we can put the gray away. All right, now we're going to come in with the polished pink and this stamp here. We're going to fill in all the flowers. It's not going to match 100%, so just line it up and stamp. Let's bring in this one as well. Basically lining up this little point here, this little point here seems to help me to line it up. And then twisting it just a little bit. Okay, well that didn't line up very well, but that's all right. Okay, now we're going to come in with this stamp. This is going to fill in this one, and again, it's not going to fill in completely. We're going to fill in all those that are showing on our card as well. Okay. Then we're done with the polished pink then. Now I'm going to come in with the parakeet party and that leaf, and we're going to fill in those leaves. I think I used the smaller one too, must be for this leaf. So let me get that one out. This one I can probably stamp off the page, so make sure you get those ones that are going off the page as well. And I'm going to bring in that smaller leaf to do those little ones. And I'm also going to use it to fill in this piece here. Since they don't match, it doesn't really matter. All right, that's all of our stamping. Now let's put this aside and bring in our die cutting machine. I'm going to put our base plate. Most used scratchy plate. We're going to bring this one, and I need the die. Let's line this up the best we can here. All right, and I'm going to use this little Post-it note here to tack it down. Put this other plate on top and run that through. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put my die away so I don't lose it. All right, we got that piece. All right, we can put this card together now. So I'm going to bring in my card base. I'm bringing this piece. I'm going to take my thanks sentiment and it's going to go across like this. So I'm going to glue that. Use my Tombow glue. I want a little bit above those. You know, I'm going to do this one a little bit higher because I've got a little bit of smudge there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that a little bit higher. I want it to be straight, so let me line this up on my grid. Oh, you can't see. So line it up on the grid and line this up so that it's straight. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my snips. I'm going to snip off this extra. All right, now I'm going to mount this to the basic gray layer, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I've got glue on here. It's going to be 1/8 of an inch border because it's 1/4 inch smaller. All right, then we're going to mount this to the front of our card. There's that little tiny border around that as well. We're going to bring dimensionals in for this piece. Okay, take those backs off. No thumbs today. Okay, we're going to hover over here, figure out where we want this. I think I want it up here. Okay, then I'm going to bring in those rhinestones. And I'm going to put one small rhinestone on each side. So it looks like it's anchoring it. There we go. There's the card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. This one doesn't have the layers. Can either be stamped directly on the front of your card. I think on this instance the white layer is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Same as the front of the card. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.